Welcome back to the channel, everybody. In today's video I am going to show you my process for making drawers, and lots of them. We ran into a catastrophic problem. For this kitchen build, I've got to make something like 30 or 40 drawers and trays, and that's what really adds up the quantity, is that there's 2 to 4 trays in every single lower cabinet. So there's a lot to build, which is kind of why I decided not to go with a solid box. I did consider it because that would be very, very beautiful. So that's why I'm going with plywood, and we're going to edge band it all. So in the end, it's going to pretty much look like it is a solid wood box. Big stack of plywood. The first thing we needed to do was get it into the shop and break everything down to width on the Harvey Alpha table saw, which we did that, and then we moved over to the miter saw station, where a repeatable block like this is pretty much vital when you have this many pieces to cut and this many pieces to keep track of. I always like to make sure I have a nice square edge, and then I make sure I don't have any cattails stuck up against my stop block, and then I make my repeatable cuts on the miter saw, one after another. Now there are probably hundreds of pieces for this many trays and drawers, and they are all in batches. So I'm marking them out with blue tape so I know the length and the width of what's going on there, and then I check off each one on my cut list as I am going forward. Now these are a butt jointed box, and they're going to have a dado through the bottom to accept the bottom board, and this way we're getting maximum strength and we're not hanging that bottom board off of the box. We're actually putting it into the dado, and that's what I'm doing here. Now the drawers that had a 1/4 inch piece of plywood, it actually was slightly less than that, so I wasn't actually able to get a small enough dado stack. So what I had to do was use the stop blocks on the Big Eye Alpha system from Harvey, and I actually had to run through twice, which was kind of a pain in the neck, but that was my solution to not having a perfect setup for the dado stack. So ran everything through with the Big Eye fence on one side of the stop blocks, shifted it over the probably a 32nd of an inch, maybe a 16th, and then ran through everything again. While I'm making all those cuts, you will also notice that Ethan is over there doing some of the edge banding. And this is what the finished product looks like. It does have some raw edges here because these are what are going to go into the butt joints, but there you can see the edge banding on the top. Very fine finished product right there. So here is Ethan's process for doing this. He clamps it into the quick clamp vise, a project I did many years ago on the outfeed table. He's pulling a length of the edge banding and cutting it to rough length, not perfect length, and then he's going to use the iron and kind of run it flat to warm everything up, and then he'll rock it back and forth with the roller to make sure we got good adhesion. Then he's going to take the flush cut nippers and he's going to nip each side, and then do a flush cut down the edges with, these are all fast cap tools. I found them to be the most reliable, and there you have a finished edge band piece. While he's doing some of that, I'm also back over at the table saw, not doing a dado this time, but doing a half lap butt joint, and this is where the raw plywood is going to go into this with glue and brad nails to make our boxes. You need to do this portion after the edge banding, because you saw in that clip just before that you're actually cutting through this edge banding. I wanted to make sure that we weren't going through after the fact with a chisel or a utility knife to make those cuts. The most difficult part of the assembly is probably making sure you have all of the right parts, because there are literally hundreds of parts for this many trays. If you're only doing 1 or 2, not such a big deal. But what I like to do is lay out the sides in opposing pattern so that I can run a glue joint all the way across. Then we're going to grab the sides and we're going to brad nail them into place, both sides against the front, and then we're going to slide drop the bottom into place. Make sure everything's tapped in, and then we will put, this is the back or the front, are the last 2 pieces that go on. Everything gets a couple of brad nails shot into it, and you are all set. Now, in my case, I have a combination of 1/4, half, and 3/4 inch bases for the drawers, depending how wide they were. We had some trays that are like 36 inches wide, and we wanted those to be 3/4. So depending on how thick those were, I did or did not shoot brad nails into the bottom to help hold everything square. If there was no brad nails, I just aligned everything with the square before setting the box aside to let the glue dry up. Here is the process. Again, one more time, a little bit quicker. And it really doesn't matter the size. Here is one of those larger trays, which have very thin sides, but they have a 3/4 inch base on the bottom. You can see the dado groove is much, much bigger. The process is exactly the same. For all of our drawers and trays, we are using these Value Line Undermount drawer slides from our friends over at CabinetParts.com, who are the sponsor of today's video. As you can see, Ethan and I have all of the trays and boxes done, and we ran into a catastrophic problem, which we have about 50% resolved already. This is the first time I have used these Undermount slides, and I kind of just ran away with it. I should have gone to school on the first one and brought it in and made sure. But we assembled all of these trays. And there's, I don't even know, 40, something like that of them. And unbeknownst to me, there's like a whole nother 7/8 of hardware that sticks out the back of these drawer slides. So we had to come bust apart one side of the cabinets, cut them down, and re-put them back together. In the long run, it wasn't actually too bad. We did about half of them maybe in an hour. But if you want to know how not to do what we just did, I'll show you how to install these drawer slides. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus here on the instructions. I should have maybe drawn out a little bit better what I was trying to do, but these are very, very difficult to understand. Lots of correlation across the pages and stuff like that. There is a necessary dimension for the box, for the drawer or the slide itself, instead of just the cabinet box itself. And that's where I went wrong, because we were trying to maximize our drawer space in the cabinet and not taking into account the hardware. So Value Line slides, let's show you how to put them in. With Undermount drawer slides, you have to cut notches into the back of the drawer because the Undermount slides through the back of there. Now there's a certain amount of woodworkers that will say, why don't you just make the back only the thickness to the bottom of your base of the drawer? That works just fine, but I would make the argument that now you have a third piece out of every drawer to take care of, where right now the front and the back are the same and the sides are the same, whereas if you have a different backer board, you got to take account of that. And then I think you also lose the strength because you're losing that dado across the back of the bottom of the drawer. That's my opinion. But anyway, you got to cut those notches, and then you also need to mark out, using the drawer slide, a hole, because you need to drill a hole for a notch of that drawer slide to hook into, and this is what actually prevents the drawer from flipping out of the slides. We've got the notch and we got the hole done here, and these are the Value Line locking mechanism. What a generic name right there. So this mounts into the front, and then the drawer slide clips into it. We have noticed that we need a little bit of space, like maybe a 1/16 of an inch off of the front of our drawer box. So we're using an Allen wrench right here to give us the proper spacing. So we kind of pinch that up into place, and then the slide clicks right into place when you snug it in, which is exactly what we're after. Some of you might remember that we've got 3 different thicknesses on the base of our drawers: 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4. Obviously for the 1/2 and 3/4, we had no issues with the screws we were using to hold these attachment locking mechanisms onto the base. But for the 1/4 inch, probably should have thought ahead and had shorter screws. Didn't think about it. Obviously they poked through the bottom, but we hit them with a flap wheel on the angle grinder and took care of them in quick order. Just something to keep in mind for any of you that are doing a project like this. And now we are all done with the portion in the shop, and we are ready to install all of our drawers. You need a level, you need some screws, you need a drill. That's pretty much it. If you have something to hold the back of the drawer slide, it might help, but the level actually worked out perfect for me. So what I am doing is laying the front of the drawer slide right on the face frame. I'm using the level to hold up the back there just to get that first screw installed, and then I'm actually pulling the drawer slide all the way open, putting level on there, and then adding a screw in the back. Then you can remove the level and add a couple of other screws. Obviously you have 2 drawer slides per drawer, so you got to do the same thing on the other side. This is obviously assuming that your face frames are perfectly level, because your cabinets are level and your countertop is level. But if not, you've got maybe slightly bigger problems to take care of. But anyway, same process on the other side. Shoot a bunch of screws in there. And then installing the drawer on there is actually super simple. You literally drop it in place, shove it back, everything clicks onto the locking mechanisms, and you are ready to go, just like that. Very, very smooth mechanics from these value line slides from cabinetparts.com. Highly recommend. Now, if you have a set of drawers that don't have a full side profile, like these, where you gotta mount stuff to the back, there are clips that you can get from cabinetparts.com that will mount to the back of your cabinet carcass instead of the side. They slide in place, and the process is pretty much the same. You did see me pre-drill there, because in this case there's a screw going into the ash of the face frame instead of into the plywood. So I did want to pre-drill those just to make sure we didn't snap or split anything. And then because we are flying solo in the back there, I wanted to make sure the measurement from front to back was the same, and that is simply done with a tape measure. And then everything just drops into place, and you are ready to rock and roll, just like a giant drawer. Well, that is a wrap right there on that video. As you can see, this kitchen has advanced much more than just building out all of those drawers, of which there was a lot. Big thanks to cabinetparts.com. They supplied all the hardware, hinges, soft close hinges, the Undermount drawer slides for this kitchen. Check them out, cabinetparts.com, link down in the description below for your next kitchen build, bathroom vanity build. They got it all for you right there. I hope this video helped you guys out. If it did, please hammer that thumbs up button, as it helps us out and gets this video in front of more eyes. Make sure you stay tuned. There's a lot to come, and we've actually done some work on the other side of that door right there for the next phase of this project. I'm DIYTyler. You guys have a good one.